live. And I was trying to imitate Joe Rogan because I'm hoping someday I'll have like tens of followers.
Well,
Like Joe Rogan. Okay, no, like Joe Rogan's got like what 9 billion followers or something like that. So yeah, something like that. All right.
we're catching up. We're right there.
We only got like 399.999 billion to go. We got Steve's mom's watching today. That's cool. So, all right. So, hey, everybody, welcome to another Great Minds Drink Alike. We are here with Steve Riat. Steve, now I see a tail in the background. I don't think it's yours. But
no, this is Jersey. Come here.
Gotcha. See, I was going to have Rocket here, but because he knocks with wine and the cord to the microphone, I was afraid he's going to knock that over. So, well, welcome them back. I mean, when was the last time we talked to you, Steve? Like when I interviewed you?
It's been a long time. I'm guessing more than a decade. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I didn't check, but because I was, I was busy yelling at people prior to,
So I think we're just under a decade.
Yeah,
because I was listening to the one for the Millionaire Earner series, and I think you mentioned 2014 or 2015 in that one.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a while.
Because what happened was, so just so everyone knows, so Steve, this is Steve, I think he's behind, I don't know however you're watching this, and everyone knows Mike over there. I got to get it right. So Steve is now what's your official title? Because you're not owner, or unless you've taken the place over now.
Nope, director of sales. I work for a cooperative.
Okay. For Next Tech, as you can see in the background there, he's very strategically placed the logo. And so Steve, I remember this because I was actually pregnant with Emily when I think I talked. Or maybe it was right after I had Jamie. Jamie's 11, Emily's 8. Because I was researching for a book that I was going to write called The 5% Formula. And what I was doing is I was interviewing the top 5% of MSPs in our industry that are, over, 20 million, 30 million and above. And you were one of the ones that I interviewed. And then I never wrote the book because I had a baby and I got busy. So, that was, I don't know how long ago. And, back then, I think, like you're in Kansas. What city are you in Kansas? Because you got locations all over now.
Yeah, we do have locations all over, but I live in Hayes. Yeah,
okay.
Our main office is in Lenore, Kansas, population 240 or something. But Hayes is probably the real location, right?
All right. Yeah, I was talking to you back then, and I think you were Next Tech was kind of started, I think, as an ISP, and then they got the idea that they wanted to do business IT support. And I think you were kind of basically selling managed firewalls for like what? I mean, I think it was under $100 or just over $100 a month or something, right?
Yeah, it was like the early managed services thing. This was VAR days, right?
Yeah. And what were you doing in revenue back then?
Oh, geez, totally. I don't know. I know our MSP was sub, it was like 10 million. It is sub 10 million. I don't know, something like that.
I think you had to be bigger than that because the interviews I was doing. Well, the interviews I was doing, it was like minimum. I had the floor of like you had to be doing 10 million.
All right, so we must have been doing over that. And I apologize because we started revenue mixes for us got weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the ISP business, the telecom business, and then this MSP business started converging in each other. So hosted voice, those kind of things. Is that a managed service business? Is it a telecom business? For us, it's a business, right? And so we started moving these revenue buckets around. And so, that's why I apologize for that kind of lack of clarity.
Yeah, you should apologize. Holy shit, get it right, okay? I mean, don't show up on a podcast this illustrious as this and not know your numbers, right?
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, I can dive into all that.
No, it's cool. I didn't know the reason I just wanted to share that because, obviously the people watch this mostly are going to be MSPs. And, the one thing we always heard from people is, well, look, I'm in a small town, I can't sell the big contracts. I can't get to $1 million. And I think when you start out, I mean, Hayes, I think what is it, 20,000 or something like that. It's a pretty small town. And yeah. And so what are you doing? I don't know are you allowed to say like what you're doing today? And
yeah. As a company, we are, approaching that 100 million mark. Hardware has affected our business. We're down several millions of dollars in hardware just because we quite frankly can't get it.
Right.
But we're flirting with that number all the time and trying to get over that number. That's our final goal, to be over 100 million. We're 320-ish employees in that range with 21 locations across mainly, Kansas, but we're doing business in 38 states today, from Alaska to Puerto Rico. And so we've kind of shed this whole thought that you have to be physically located wherever the business is. We have a vertical in telecom, to be honest, because we are one. And so we serve that market with some really unique plays.
Mm-hmm.
But Robin, I feel like you missed a key part of our relationship. And that is, so we did this thing with Sonic Wall, right? Like whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had learned to speak like Robin. I'm not using the right terms. Remember this?
Yeah, it was like sell like Robin, like
Sell
speaker
like Robin.
treat. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like I referenced that stuff. I came down there to Nashville. We did, I don't know, it was several days, right?
Mm-hmm.
I met a whole bunch of players from everything from, I think you had somebody like restaurant business.
Michael. Yeah.
Alex Rogers was down there before anybody knew who Alex Rogers was. For Chartech, like there was a whole bunch of things going on down there. And so I reference that stuff still today. Back this week, I was in Iowa, pitching a room of telecoms, right?
Wow, look at that. Look at me. I helped make $100 million empire. Look at that. I love it. It's all based on that one training you came to. And I'm going to take all the credit because, no, that's great. I didn't know. No, I forgot about that. I didn't know you were in that group because we did that. Whew. I mean, that was a while ago, man.
Well, you were very pregnant at that time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was like, popping out kids, closing deals. That's kind of how I was rolling. We did that once. So, I haven't done it again, but it was essentially, for those of you watching, it was like, how did I, like, because one of the ways that I sell is, and I only sell today because I don't really sell one-on-one consultations now. What I do is, get in front of a room and you pitch the room and you sell the room, or you sell them on a webinar. It's like group selling. And we did that. And, it's funny because I was like looking at that the other day because like I really did document my pitch and the psychology and how we do things. And, I still reference it. It's not like it's just because it was done 10 years ago doesn't mean it's not relevant, and I think even more so today. So that's very, very cool. So you, because when I talked to you, again, I was interviewing you for the book. You're in that $1 Million Earners series, which, I end up not doing the book, but I published some of the interviews that I did.
Yep.
Leading up to that 5% formula. And so, so when you're saying 100 million, but because I think just to clarify, like Next Tech is an ISP telecom, but the managed services part of your business, you're selling, I think, to small businesses for the most part, right?
Absolutely. I mean, almost exclusively. Yeah.
And tell me, like, what do you define as a small business?
For sure, less than 50. Our target customer profile is 25 users, high OML location for technology. And our lead play here is technology as a service, where we own 100% of it, including the hardware, the software, the managed services. Like we come in and we do it all. And that's what we do. That's our primary play. Mm-hmm. Which ironically, I was doing my homework. So I was watching your interview with Kevin O'Leary, and that's kind of what he was pitching, right? Like IT is a service, and that's what we're delivering. Mm-hmm. So we do it for banks, small banks, community banks, where obviously money is not the conversation where they can go lease hardware or whatever. We're bundling it holistically with all of that, but we own it. So the customer doesn't even own their own computers. We do a 4-year lifestyle refresh. And again, it's not really optional because if you don't renew your contract, it's my equipment. So it's coming back with me. We do not allow customers to buy out that equipment because we truly believe they need to be on that refresh cycle.
Yeah, no, I want to come back to that in a second. So how much revenue is your managed service division doing? Just that piece of the 100 million?
Yeah. So specifically just managed services, just like not the hardware pieces, not any of those stuff. It's about 14 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
like
yeah,
100% labor, those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I remember when I interviewed you, and it's people, like, the problem is, like, for right after that interview, I told so many of my members, hey, go listen to this guy, because he's out there, and you were doing, I know you were doing at least 10 million in the total business or something. And I said, he's going out there, he's selling like a managed firewall for $98 a month or whatever it was. It's still up on the dashboard. I mean, our members can go access it. And it's just, one of my favorite Mark Twain quotes is that one of the most annoying things in the world is a good example. And the minute somebody says, like, I can't make money because, like, I only sell to small businesses, or I'm in a small town, or, whatever it is, you show them something like that, and they're not excited about it. They're kind of annoyed because they're thinking, well, shit, now, like, well, Steve just is different, or something, whatever. So I always, for years I referenced it. I mean, I would still tell people to go back and listen to it. There's lessons in that about just selling what you got at the time, because there might be people, like right now, MSPs, I saw, so I don't know if I got to look into this. I'm looking for around my desk, because I had a note here somewhere, that there's a lot of new startup MSPs out there. I know there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions, but there's a lot of new startups happening. And a lot of them are just, I don't have the manpower, I don't have the tools, I don't have the money, I don't have the fill in the blank. There's always something they're missing. And, just even going back to your interview, and when you first started, I mean, you didn't have the marketing, the manpower, nothing, right?
No.
So, yeah.
We didn't even know what we were doing, right? I mean, compared to where we're at today, we didn't have, it was like literally that was born out of, we had an amazing SonicWall rep at the time. And he said, hey, why don't you sell this as a service? And that's genius. And we executed on it, right? Mm-hmm. Which grew ultimately, that's exactly what we're doing today. We're just doing it with everything, right? I mean, instead of just a firewall, we do it all. So we changed that business and that model, and it feeds, multiple revenue sources in our business for sure. But, we do have some edge markets that we don't have any of those telecom services to bolt on to, right? Mm-hmm. We call them pods. So what we did is a growth strategy for us. So what we do is we put a salesperson, technically a technician or an SE, into the market that we don't have any marketing with, any other services. And then we put them in that market, we throw marketing with them. And then we, it kind of sinks or swims, right? It has about a 3-year ROI on, managed services. So, we got to sell, 5 to 7K a month in MRR to make that thing, continually grow. So we've done that in 2 markets today. We're working on our 3rd, but like Topeka is one of our bigger cities that we went into, but still pretty small. I think 140,000 people, something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's exactly what we did. But out of that came an acquisition. So we had one of the small players in the market approach us and say, look, I've been in this business since the 80s. I went out. My partners, they're retiring. We need to get out of this business. And we bought the business for next to nothing. And we grabbed that customer base. We did a little bit of Star Trek, you will be assimilated. And, we lost some customers because, they were underselling, underpricing their services. But now that's, a very large market for us just in a matter of a couple of years. We're doing that in another town called Hutchinson. It's about 40,000 people, something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of our land and expand model, but we hope to do acquisitions and, I meet with all the kind of competitors in the market and say hi and say, love to work together, whatever that takes.
You will be assimilated, right? Or we will kill you. We will laser you.
I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're trying to get done. But it works out well, right? To grow and expand.
Yeah, for you, not so much for them. they're like, holy shit, I'm going to either like be part of the steamroller or part of the pavement. That's like,
You know what though? I'm going to disagree with you here. The company we acquired in Topeka, here's the deal: they're underpricing their services. They're not making any money. They're not paying their employees. Like they had a 26-year veteran making like $16 an hour. I mean, it was completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came in and paid them market wage and trained them with market strategy. So we treated their customers better. We treated their staff better. And I think it's overall better experience. To your point, okay, but the owner got an exit strategy. We did the right thing for everybody. And again, I hate to quote your previous guest, but, Kevin O'Leary says, take care of your customers, do the right thing, and your business will grow.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary also says, I want to wipe you off the face of the earth, take you behind the shed and shoot you, salt the earth you stand on. So, well, hey, cheers. Hey, by the way, what are you drinking?
Yeah, an old fashioned, a little bourbon there, a little sweet bourbon.
Very nice. I'm drinking. So check this out. This is this thing I'm on to. Like I get on this, I'll get on like a kick of a certain wine. It's kind of like my weird personality. Like I get on like certain foods or wines and like, it's like, that's all I want. It's this thing called Bialy, I think it's pronounced. It's a Zinfandel. It's the black chicken,
Black chicken.
And yeah, It's called black. So what's funny is though, so I checked it out. So this guy, Robert Bialy, who started the vineyard, they actually started out not as a vineyard. They were like a farm with chickens. And they were like a chicken farm and people would buy eggs and chickens from them. And they started doing the wine sort of bootleg on the side, like illegally, and selling it to the customers that would show up to buy eggs and chicken or chickens or whatever the hell else they were selling on the farm there. And sort of the code word. So, cause it was bootleg, you would show up and you would ask for a black chicken. And that was code for their bootleg their wine.
Nice. So, I really wanted to do a wine today, but I'm leaving in town tomorrow and didn't want to leave it was a predicament. I'm either going to have to drink a half bottle of wine worst things have happened, right? But I'm going down to your favorite place, I think. Headed down to Destin, which I believe you're a Seaside person, right?
Yeah. What is it? Like I'm making Seaside popular. I got to stop talking about it because I just got messaged on Facebook from one of my clients that's down there. And they're like, hey, I'm in Seaside. Any chance you're here? And I'm like, I wasn't, but it's awesome down there. So Destin and there's Panama City are the two like big cities, and 30A is the road that kind of runs between them. It's a rural road and it's 2 lanes and, and we're in Seaside. I like Rosemary Beach. I love Seaside. I go to Destin because that's where the Whole Foods is.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, if you go down there, and if you like to cook, there's a seafood place called Goat Feathers. So I got to figure out why they called it Goat Feathers, but it's not fancy. They got like 3 locations or whatever. Best fresh caught fish you will get. I mean, we kind of discovered it the last time we were down there, and I swear we didn't even go out to eat, but one night, I went there every day and got either the mahi or the red snapper or something like that, open a bottle of wine. Just
sounds so good.
Oh my God, it was amazing. So you're going to Destin. All right. Well, okay.
Yeah. Well, when I grew up, in the 90s with my parents, we went down there every year to Seaside.
I didn't know that.
Family vacation every year. I'm going to a conference down there for telecom. It's WTA there for next week. But I figured I'm celebrating my birthday on the beach. So.
Your birthday. Yeah. Nice. Now, how old are you turning?
Yeah, 49.
49. Cheers. Yep. Everybody raise your glass. Say cheers. Happy birthday. I'm not singing happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the big 50 in 9 days from now. Wow. So I know, right? I'm still buying green bananas, but I'm starting to, it's kind of like what did you say? 49. What did you made a comment before we started? What did you say about 49?
Yeah, like if I die now, the only way I'm going to be called young is if I die now and they say you died too young, right?
Yeah.
Like, golly, that's the only way it's going to happen now. So
yeah, no, let me ask you, at what age is it where they say, well, he lived a good life? Where is it like died too young? Where's that line? Where
That's
is
a good
that?
question. I'm going like Nowadays, you got to get to like your mid 70s, I think, to like have lived a good life.
Yeah, like you,
Yeah.
yeah.
At
Well, I have
least.
this thought. I think I can make 100, right? Like I got good genetics, take care of myself. Like I think I can make 100. So that means I have played a sloppy first half.
Yeah. Well,
Okay?
I don't know. The second half, I think there's a middle ground where you're doing all right, and then you kind of slide off the edge on the back end there. I don't know. We'll see.
Come on. Look, you're in the same place with me with kids. Like your kids are old
Uh,
enough now that you don't have to worry about like, diapers and that whole thing. And it gets better, right? Because you've got more money, you got more time, you got more patience. Like, I enjoyed the upper 40s. I expect to enjoy the 50s. Like I think it'll be great. And I've got a team of amazing people, and actually most of them are younger than I am, which is a little harder for me to swallow, right? Like one of my sales managers, Olga, she's in her 30s, and she's got like a 1-year-old, and so busy, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And she's Olga's not obviously a very American name. She's from Germany, and so she spends quite a bit of time back home. And can you imagine like a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old in a plane for 9 hours?
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Drugs.
but amazing.
For me, not them. Maybe them. I don't know. Maybe, well, it's a little different. You give them like, as long as you got battery power on your phone, you give them your phone that like mesmerizes them. But so it's a little easier in that aspect. But yeah, at 50, it's like, when you're 30, you kind of tend to double your age, and you think, okay, well, I was 30. I could see myself at 60, and you turn 40 and you go, oh, 80. I mean, that's very reasonable. When you hit 50, you start going, I don't know. You double that, you're at 100. I don't even, you start to go.
Well, I remember
right.
one of my neighbors, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, goes, yeah, I'm turning 50 next week. I go, holy crap, you're old. Oh, man. Like, now I have to look myself in the mirror and go, like, holy crap, you're kind of old.
Yeah. Well,
But,
it is what it is.
it's, I don't know.
Well,
Perspective.
it's not too bad. And, I think, when you've grown, when you at least look, here's the thing. With you and me, Mike, I don't know so much. He's still young. I don't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a baby. Look at him. He can't even get half the references. You start talking about a rotary phone and stuff, he's lost. He doesn't know what that is. He has no clue. Yellow pages, what is that? But I think, if you get to at least, when you get to be the 50s, the middle, whatever. But if you've done something with your life, you feel like, hey, you know what? I mean, you say you ran a sloppy first, you really haven't, you know what I mean? I mean, it could be way worse. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I mean, and look, anybody should have a successful job and who wants work and stuff like that. But, when we've got people coming to us who want a entry level, like a telemarketing position or something, and, and they're like in their late 60s or something, and they're like desperate for it, you know what I mean? So now I'm being an asshole, but you know what I mean? Like it could be way worse. You could be a Walmart greeter and be 49. All right. So let's just put it that way. You're not a Walmart greeter. So that's good.
All right. So let me brag just a little bit, just because, right, you gave me the opportunity. But, like, okay, I go visit Robin down in Nashville. I go learn the speaking thing. I get pretty good at it. I did a bunch of stuff with ConnectWise. Like I facilitated for ConnectWise for 15 years.
Are you still doing that?
I'm not. I retired in December. Spiro was in my group. You know Spiro. And so anyway, I did that for 15 years. And out of that, I got to travel the world, like speaking, like from, some of the stuff you taught me for sure. So I went to Europe and 4 times and they paid for me to go teach sales in Europe. But here's the thing that I learned is I got to go talk to all of the ConnectWise partners and things about how they're doing sales and, compare and contrast, successful people and not so successful people and starting entrepreneurs and very mature companies and from around the globe. I mean, they have people in Australia and they have people in Europe, UK, and like I got to dive really deep into what works from a sales methodology and bring it back to the Midwest and execute on it. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that. To your point, like what an amazing experience. Would I've ever thought that I'm going to go, somebody's going to pay me to travel the world to go talk sales? No, I'm pretty, Canada was about as foreign as I got, right? And I'm
Yeah.
a pretty big idiot abroad, but it was a great time, right? And so, you know, I've learned so much from these other companies of kind of, you know, what works, what doesn't, who's successful and why. And, you know, and Robin, I'm sure you're familiar with this, is that people that go back and execute on your program are successful. But the key is they got to execute, right? Like you give them a roadmap and say, if you follow this roadmap, you will be successful. And they are, right?
Mhm.
And I see that in sales and everything else, but then people will start getting creative, right? Like, oh, I'm going to do Robin's program, but I'm going to change like this thing and I'm going to change that thing and sort of maybe do this thing that she said, but I'm going to, and they don't realize they broke like the roadmap, right? Like
The
they decided
recipe.
to take, you know,
Yeah.
and so I, you know, that's what I found is like the answers are out there. They're not complicated. They're not, you know, like completely crazy. It's just follow the people's advice that you're paying for.
Mhm.
And rarely do people do that.
Yeah, it's execution. So, you know, you know, it's funny because you say, like, I think that is one of the opportunities. I know you've coached with, you know, through the ConnectWise groups and on,
Yeah.
you've talked to various people and, you know, and I actually still like, that is really one of the things that lights me up the most. Like I was right before this call I was saying, I was making a joke. I'm like, yeah, I was busy on this call. I was yelling at people, but I had our client coaches and they, you know, help run our accelerators group and, you know, just talking to them about numbers and strategy and, hey, right now you got to think about your prices because your inflation is raising and everything up in the costs and the cost of your technicians is going up. And if you're not raising your rates, you got to be really careful and you got to think about how you're pricing things. And everybody's really busy with projects right now, but you're not. So like having those conversations to me is like a lot of fun because you do learn stuff like, you know, what are you guys doing for prospecting? What are you doing for new clients? How are you pricing? How are you raising your prices? What new innovation? I mean, like what you're saying, you know, selling technology as a service, period, where hardware, software, everything is included, you know, like it's a different model. And I really find that fascinating. And that's what kind of keeps me interested in this business is always trying to find out another way, another opportunity, some way where, you know, business just becomes easier and sales flow in. I mean, you're a sales rep. I'm a salesperson. You're a salesperson at heart, you know? And that is fun. So, you know, let me ask you this because we got to be a little serious on here, I guess a little, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe we should give some kind of content rather than just talk about Seaside and whatever. But you know, you mentioned just like you're in sales. So let's say you are a startup MSP, like Next Tech says, you're out of here, you're gone. We plop you down in the middle of somewhere like Destin. You're like, okay, here you go. You got no clients. Like, how would you go about getting business? Like talk about what would you do? What were the things you'd have to have in place? And like, how would you approach starting a new MSP?
Yeah. The first thing I would define is what is it that I do and what is it that I don't do? What is the product that I'm bringing to market? And here's how I think about that. McDonald's menu number one. And I know that you're not a McDonald's fan, so I apologize. But let me ask this question.
I just don't eat
maybe,
there. I like them as a business. I just don't eat there. Yeah.
So what is the number one value menu? The number one. What do you got? Mike, what do you got?
Well, you got, well, okay, Mike, yes, Mike.
Yeah, hamburger.
Yeah, because he eats there all the time.
Yeah.
You won't say that. Mike, are you like more of like a Wendy's though? I think you're more of a Wendy's.
I've had McDonald's like 4 times today already.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So right after this.
Hey, do they still have the Happy Meal? Do they have the Happy Meal?
I don't know. I can't tell you the last time I've been to McDonald's.
Well, no, like you're shaking your head. Yeah, but it might be like you're not allowed to like incentivize kids to eat bad food by putting like they don't put prizes in cereal boxes anymore. I think, isn't there a law? Mike, look that up. Is there a law? Like an advertising law because they can't like put prizes in the box or that because they might incentivize kids to, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I'm totally.
I'm worried about if I look
your story.
Stuff about
I asked Steve a question.
Kids.
Squirrel, right? Yeah.
Okay. The number one value menu.
Okay, so we got to have a value menu. What was the question? Okay, it was
a Big Mac.
Big
right?
Mac. Oh, Big Mac.
Okay.
I was going to just say cheeseburger.
Okay.
Now,
The
Robin,
fries, because the
what
fries
is
are good.
in a Big Mac?
Oh God.
I think there's some kind of meat. I'm not sure.
Oh, come on, you got this.
Wait a minute. No. The commercial. Oh shit. Lettuce, pickles, onions. What was that? Come on. What was the
all beef patty,
two
special
all beef
sauce,
patties,
lettuce,
special
cheese
sauce, pickles, onions,
on a sesame seed bun.
unless something on a sesame seed. Yes. Okay. How did I forget that?
Okay, you know what a Big Mac is, right?
Okay.
And so what comes with a Big Mac?
Fries.
Or apple slices.
No.
Right?
We were growing up, there was no apple slices. Okay.
And then a Coke,
like
right? Or a Coke product.
Okay.
Right? Like you can, but here's the key thing: you cannot order a Pepsi, right? Like you won't get it. And you can't order a pizza, and you can't substitute the 2 patties with chicken, right? Like a number one is a number one, and that's what we sell. And so I think the key is number one is define what the heck it is you sell. Like this is what we do. This is how we deliver it. This is how we deliver it every time because you'll be profitable, right? Like
standardized.
Yeah. Science versus, art, right? And so that's what we're trying to do is we still have a McDonald's menu value, right? We don't just sell only all in. We still have a managed play. So you don't have the hardware, you do manage. But that's what we've defined is this is exactly sell. So then once you've defined, this is the next tech big value menu. Now marketing knows what to market because it's very specific. They know exactly the value we're going to deliver. And then the salesperson knows exactly how to pitch it. Yeah,
but how, like, so let me play devil's advocate because like you get into tech, right?
Yep.
There's like a million products. There's a million things. It really is. It's confusing. I think for new MSPs, to give them, because you hear like there's the basic support. And then what about cybersecurity? Is a firewall enough? No, some people, firewall's enough. No, a firewall is not enough. You have to have zero trust. You have to have compliance. You have to have backup, disaster recovery. So like when you say, okay, you got to define what you're going to sell.
Yeah.
Would it be too far of a reach to say first we ought to define who we want as a customer and then we define what we're going to sell?
That's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. I apologize. You're right. Who's my target audience? Because I think that matters. If you're selling enterprise, probably that product's not going to fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I made the assessment that my skill set is in the small, medium business place. So that's where I went. Yeah.
Okay. Well, but because you even said you're focusing on telcos because telecom, was it telco or telecom? Sorry, I have a couple drinks in me.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
What's the whatever?
Telcom.
Okay, telecom. I don't want to get it wrong. I sound like
an idiot. But they want to be called broadband companies now. So.
Oh, okay. So, okay. All right. So we're at broadband. Okay. Well, but you even said, that's who we focus on selling to because we are one. So, that industry, that business, the problems they deal with, the language, how they get paid, and I think probably for a lot of smaller MSPs, now I'll get on my soapbox a minute because I think part of what people come to me and ask, and they probably ask you too, Steve, because I know that is, how do I get more customers? And then we say, well, who's your customer? And they don't really have it defined.
Anybody that will return my call.
Yeah. Yes. The 0, 10 to 100 computers and this, whatever. Yeah. And that is the market that buys it. But then you say that what the question they'll ask is, well, what's the market? What's the most lucrative market? Is it medical? Do I go after CPAs? Do I go after attorneys? Is it, and really the question I think should be, what market makes the most logical sense for you to be targeting? Because like somebody who has a background, let's say they're an attorney, maybe they understand the legal market. They understand their business, how they bill, the challenges they have, the language they have, where they hang out, like they understand it and they can wrap the technology around it. So I think, a lot of it is just defining not just what's the most lucrative market, but what market am I going to most resonate with, right? Because like you look at, are you familiar with Black Rifle Coffee? Those guys? Yeah. So they're like a favorite of mine because their marketing is just so focused. And I know it's political. People are going to get mad at me, whatever. I look at it from a marketing perspective. I found out about it through my husband, he was in the Army, and they're obviously they have coupled the First Amendment, very American core values, with coffee. And you go, well, what the hell is that? Those two things have to do, but that guy's a military guy and he hires all veterans to work for the company. And the whole, if you're trying to differentiate in a crowded marketplace, which we're all in a crowded marketplace, everybody who's selling anything, it's not like there's a shortage of anything out there. I think you really got to define that customer and think, who am I going to most resonate with? Who is going to want to, the affinity with me as a person, and I think about that. And then I think, to your point though, once you have that figured out, I think you are right that you've got to standardize, here's what we sell, because clients will wear you out with special requests and we don't want that, or we don't need this. Right. So I think you're saying, like, let's define who you want, then get a good package together and make that your standard offering.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to your point of cybersecurity, we have made a determination. First of all, cybersecurity, the cost of delivering the product has come down. And so we made a determination that if customers are trusting me all in, like, I have to protect them. And so I have to offer my full cybersecurity stack. Now we have some advanced, like, compliance type stuff with SIM and stuff like that, but user training and EDR and all this, technology, it's all in there, right? It's just all in there. But my cost to deliver is so much lower because we do it every time, right? There's no question whether you get it. It's no question if I'm talking to this customer, if they have it, we're protecting them. And, because quite frankly, the customer will make a bad choice. Right, they'll buy just antivirus or something, and whatever, and then they'll call me because they expect that I was protecting them, even though they declined that offer or whatever. Look, I think our all-in minus the compliance stuff is like, I don't know, $27 or something a month, right? Like, that's my cost.
What? Are you serious? 27 a month?
That's his cost.
That's my cost.
Okay. I was like, I hope that's not what you're friggin' I'm like, holy shit, like, let's end this podcast right now. You're giving bad advice. What the hell?
My cost.
Okay.
And so, my answer is that for $27, can I risk my customer not having this? No, I can't. So they're getting it, right?
Okay.
No, my all-in user close, is way north of $200 a user, right? It depends on the individual, client and whatnot, but it's going to be, I would like to target that $300 to $350 a user a month number. It depends on what they're doing, but that's an all-in number. But it includes, again, $27. Like, it's 10% of the whatever.
Yeah, I got
protected, you. Right? We require multi-factor. We require, a firewall. We require, all of these stack items, and it's not optional for them to pull it out.
Okay. So you go into a new market, we figure out who our customer is. We've got our stuff, whatever the stuff is that we're going to sell. We got hard lines. Now you're the sales guy, right? Yep. So if you were brand new starting up and you have a bag of pennies, like you're not, like, you don't have a lot of money, how would you go about getting customers?
I'm going to pick 10. I'm going to pick 10 customers that are my target clients. And I'm going to market to them. I'm going to email to them. I'm going to physically call them. I'm going to physically visit them. I'm going to know everything there is to know about those target customers. I'm going to LinkedIn stock. I'm going to Facebook stock. I am all over their stuff, right? Like, if anything happens, if they have a birthday, I'm sending them an email. If their son makes the track team, they're getting a print press in a frame, right? Like, I am all over them until they will have that call with me. And I'm going to be, I'm like, right? Like, I'm all over it, right? Because that is the attractive thing that I'm looking for. And I think I can do 10 at a time pretty actively because, maybe I can do 20 at a time if I'm brand new, right? Like, if I don't have anybody, but I'm going to put them in a cycle and a drip and a flywheel that's just going to keep hitting them until they get an appointment with me. I mean, they're going to be so annoyed. Either they're going to tell me to go to hell, which is okay, I got to know. Right, fair enough, right? Like, salesperson's second favorite word, no. Fine. But at least I can move and add another one to my 10. But, one of the biggest mistakes I see, I think, is people are like trying to do 50 or 100 or 50,000, right? And you can't cyber stock them. You can't call them. You can't know everything there is about them. I have 20 some odd reps. That's what we do, right? Like, who's your 10? Who are you following up with? Who are you targeting? Who are you starting on the marketing campaign? Who are you emailing? Who's your visit? Who are you inviting to the golf tournament? Who are you, like, who's the 10? Because every one of them better have the answer, because that's who we want to bring to the ball.
Yeah. I think there's that. If you know your customer too, here's what I would add on to that is find the 10 who influence everybody in that vertical. Because when I started my business, I had talk about a bag of pennies. I didn't even have a bag of pennies. I had a bag. I don't even think I had a bag. I had to walk uphill in the snow with no shoes.
5 miles.
Get a bag. What was that?
Yeah, 5 miles each way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uphill.
it was uphill both ways.
Broken glass, the whole thing.
Yeah, that was like how I started. And, I literally, I didn't have the money for a website. I did some marketing help for this web company do my website. And, cause I thought, how do I get to the person who has a relationship already with 10, 20, 100 of the people that I want? And then how do I ingratiate myself with them to get them to endorse me and not in a greedy way? Cause you can't just go up to somebody you don't know and say, hey, endorse me. Why not?
What's
I'm
in it for
good.
me? Yeah.
Give me a shot. Well, it works for you because you're sexy. I mean, you're a sexy bastard. Look at you. I don't have that working for me. You know what I mean? So I had to actually use my skills and my talents, even though they're very, I had to really work on that very hard. But I think that, going to those people and finding out how can I add value to them and to their membership and cyber stalk, know everything about those 10 influencers that are in that area, and then say, you know what, how can I help you achieve what you want to achieve, whatever that is, get more members, engage your community, fill an event, whatever it was. And, looking back, that really was what helped me and put me on the map. And I think it was for the first 3 years, that was my entire marketing plan. I mean, if somebody would allow me to speak, and that goes to the point where how do I created that training? Because that was my way. And if I got an opportunity, I wanted to make sure if I was put on stage, if I was doing an interview, if I was doing a teleseminar, because webinars, this tech wasn't even there. I mean, you did teleseminars. That was like the new amazing thing, right? I was going to nail it because I figured they might only give me one chance. And so I'm not going to risk that one chance. I'm going to make it so damn good that I'm going to get every person there to want to be a customer and make the person who invited me on there really happy they invited me, because they might invite me back and introduce me to someone else. And that's exactly how I started my company. So
you're delivering value, right? I mean, right, that's what you're doing. You're delivering value. Let's face it, you use Destin as an example. Destin's a relatively small community. I have a clue what the statistics might say, but here's my guess. Most of the IT people know each other, right? And all of those IT people know all the small businesses, because all the small businesses are calling them and going, I'm in trouble, I need help. Who should I talk to? Well, put together a little peer group of all the IT people in the room and facilitate them, buy them lunch, and let them talk about all of their problems, which you will get to hear as an opportunity. And when they change jobs, what they're going to do is they're going to go to the ownership of whatever they're working for and say, hey, I think you ought to use Steve's company over here, Robin's company over here to do their IT because I trust them. Boom, opportunity, right? We do that with, the bank, here in Hayes, we have the bank, we have the college, we have the school district, we have the city, the county, some of those are not small business customers, they're IT directors, but they inject value into the small businesses. And of course, those guys talk about all the amazing tools that they have that the small business customer can't afford without me. And that's a win.
Yeah. So let me go back to something you said a minute ago, because I'm kind of curious. So are all your deals the technology as a service with hardware, software, everything all in, or do you do more standard service agreements?
Yeah, we do standard, managed IT, but realistically, we didn't sell a lot of it until recently when we couldn't get all the hardware we needed to deploy to do the full all-in deal. So we've only recently started selling kind of what you would call the traditional managed service play. Mainly the reason is that we do that, like I talked about that standardization, you talk about all these products that are available. Look, we have one firewall company, it's SonicWall. We have one laptop company, it's Lenovo. We have one switching company, it's HP. We have one wireless company, it's Aruba. We have, like, I can name them, and those are our companies. Now we might sell, I don't know, like we only sell the think value product of Lenovo, but there's 14, 15, like there's a whole series of them, right? Aruba has a whole line of wireless stuff, like we can sell that, or SonicWall has a line of stuff. But if a customer comes and says, look, I want you to do the Fortinet firewall, no, we don't do that. We can't support it. We don't have the back-end tools. We don't have certified technicians. We don't do it. And we can't protect you. So if that's what you want us to do, like, can't do it. Now, the next question they ask is, wow, there must be a reason that they're so firm about that, right? The other part of this is most of the time when companies are shopping for a managed services company, they're coming to us because their previous managed service company failed, right? Why did they fail? Because they're running a crap network, old computers, old equipment, non-standardized, not software from 6 different, whatever. Well, so we have that conversation. Look, we're going to be more expensive because we're including all the hardware. But here's why you call this, because the other guy failed. His response time wasn't good. They couldn't get your issues resolved. You're always down, right? They're going, we're going, look, we're going to standardize you. You're all going to have the same 22-inch monitor. You're all going to have the same Lenovo desktops. You're all going to have the same Microsoft Office. You're all the same stuff. And you're going to love it because all your users love to have new computers. And by the way, we're only like a little bit more expensive than your other, whatever. And look, here's the cost. It's this much. And the only thing that's not covered is, your consumables, those kind of things. And like everything else is on me. Isn't that what you really want? Don't you
all
want
the infrastructure? Yeah.
Don't you want to go do whatever it is your business is, and we'll go do this rest of the stuff, right?
Now, do you have a leasing company that works with you, or do you do the financing, or how does that work?
Yeah, we use Great American Finance. I don't know if you know the guys. They're fantastic. Cheers to them.
Right.
They're one of our.
They used to sponsor us. Those cheap bastards haven't been around in a while. Mike, put that on the list. All right.
All right.
Great American Finance.
So if they're on,
bastards.
Those
I
cheap bastards.
harassed one of their VPs before this, so he could be listening. So give him crap. Tell him you can get Lee. What the hell, man? Robin wants you to sponsor.
Steve needs to get a little bit of something, a little Scooby snack for mentioning them. They need to come back in our community, because it was like for like pre-COVID, it was like, it got, it was like a big thing to do this hardware, technology, everything wrapped into one. And now you don't hear about it as much. And I think now that the supply chain is what it is and getting it is so hard, maybe we'll see the old system builders come back. You remember, because like when I started in this industry, there was system builder was a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure is there gonna be a day, like, I don't know, a year from now, when all of a sudden the floodgates open and like hardware shows up with the hardware fairy, or I don't know, like what's going to happen? I don't know, but no, look, you also talk about those vendors, like we're tight, right? Like, because we're dedicated and we're certified in each one of them, we are all in with those vendors, right? Like all the ones I mentioned, we're all in with. And so that helps pay. We didn't talk about the rules of this, but like Cinex, they're who we buy our hardware from, right? They have an annual deal where they do a 1 week, all expenses paid for my sales reps to go down and get trained on how the hardware stuff, right? And so I don't pay for it. We send them down. They actually bring in a third-party sales trainer. They grade my reps. So I get a grade card. And it's covered, right? Like, and certifications. We were just out at Aruba, we got our certification paid for because we're all in with these, we're using all those marketing dollars and, all that spend with them. But because we're funneling all that money directly to those vendors that we're all in with, they're all in with us too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like us when we sell our MAP marketing automation platform. It's a couple different technologies wrapped into a solution. But, if somebody comes to us and says, hey, we want to use Salesforce, we don't do that. I mean, you have to switch to our platform if you want our marketing. So it's the same thing. And, I think it's a mindset, and the person selling it is, how you're explaining it and so forth. I think you're right, because standardization, that's how really Southwest got the established as they did, because Southwest doesn't have 50 different planes. They've got the one plane, which means they only need to have spare parts for the one plane. They only need to have engineers who know how to service one plane, pilots who know how to fly one plane. Like you go to American or United or whatever, I mean, you got to have a bevy of pilots and people who service it and technicians and engineers and spare parts, and because because it's complicated, right? So I think you're right. Yeah.
Make it simple, right? Like I quote Einstein all the time, like if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I swear I've made a career out of making things simple, right? Like I think human race natively, like we make the simplest things the most complex ever.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a career of doing the opposite. Like make everything simple. Make it simple for your customer to understand. Make it simple for your tech to deliver. Make it simple for you to market. Bring it down to some, like, okay, I speak of which we're constantly fighting the battle, right? But keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. So like if you get a new client, mm-hmm. and whatever their equipment is, old, new, whatever, right? Do you go in and do you just rip and replace? And do you charge for that? Or you just say, hey, sign up, we're going to standardize, we're going to replace your firewall because with the one we know, we're going to replace your server with the one we know. I mean,
first of all, Robin, let's be clear. I charge for everything.
Okay.
All right? I am not a cheap date. I charge for everything. But no, we build in, first of all, we charge whatever the monthly fee is, one extra fee for onboarding, like whatever that is. If it's 10 grand a month, we charge an extra 10 grand right up front. But as soon as you sync that paper, like you're covered. So there's about a 30-day window where maybe I haven't ripped and replaced, to your point, right? Like I'm in the process, but you're covered, right? But you pay for that. We do bake the cost of the onboarding project in. We bake the cost of ongoing support. Like all those costs are in our calculations of delivering the service. But no, we charge for absolutely every bit of it, and we take it on day one. If they're a managed service customer, we do have like minimum standards for everything. So there's usually a small project up front that says, look, that computer is too old, or we don't support that model of firewall or whatever it is, and that's got to go, and we put it new in. But our all-in method, we rip and replace. Like it's a forklift deal. If they don't own anything they used to have, now, okay, I say always and never always gets me in trouble. But if they had like a 1-year-old computer for a third of their machines, we will exclude that 1/3 until they hit 3 years, and then put a maintenance agreement on those. But understand that when they become 3 years old, they will become part of the whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll assimilate them.
Now, how much harder is it to sell that though? Is it harder to sell that? Easier to sell like this? We're gonna, because like I would think if I'm the owner, like you're asking me to throw all in with you in the sense that you now own all my laptops, my desktops, my everything. I can see that as a benefit, but I can also see it as an objection. I mean, talk about how that impacts your close rate, etc.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's an industry distinguisher for us. None of our competitors at this time do this. Mm-hmm. And so, it's how we lead from a standpoint of like, we'll lay out why all these financial numbers make sense, because most of the customers think they're spending, $100 a month on IT and they're spending $1,000 a month on IT. Like they have no idea. So we start talking about all of these costs that are baked into this thing. We lead in qualifying with a monthly number. Like that's how we go to market. Is it, can it be an objection? Absolutely, but maybe that customer isn't a good fit for us either. And so, I would suggest, I look at our loss rates, after we go from marketing qualified to sales qualified leads, once we go to a sales qualified lead, we're in the mid 80s close ratio. So we're not losing deals because of money. All right. We're not losing deals because of this. And if I look at that 20%, maximum 20% loss ratio that we're seeing, it's typically because they didn't qualify well early, right? And so, I guess I hear you. I think that's a legitimate objection, but we believe in it, right? Like my team believes in it. I believe in this methodology, and our techs believe in it. And like if you get that true belief, a customer hasn't actually seen the value of IT yet until we come in there. And we have references, we'll put 20 references in front of them and say, look, talk to these, but if you're a bank here, talk to these other banks that talk to talk to the hospital, talk to the school, talk to the small business around the corner. Like we have those references. But I sold the first one of these probably a decade ago, and here's how it went. We were bidding a local chamber, which the problem with the local chamber is they have to bid their IT to everybody's chamber member, right? So he laid out all the specifications of processors and RAM and hard drives and all this technical crap that nobody cares about. And he got like 6 bids back that he couldn't understand why this processor is different than this he had no idea. I said, look, we got this new program. It's we'll just do it all. And here's the monthly fee. And he goes, well, that's what I really want. They rewrote the RFP. We were the only one to respond in that manual. We win. Right? Like that's what they wanted. So, I guess you have to elevate your sales maturity. You have to start selling to the business owner. You have to sell value. You have to sell the belief that you're truly delivering a superior service. And I think that you'll see that you can win.
Yeah, I think a lot of selling, Tony Robbins taught me this because I worked for him for about a year, and he always said selling is a transference of emotion. And, I think that a lot of people who struggle in sales, I mean, some of it is selling is a matter of just communication. Like people get like, they think selling and they think, oh, it's like manipulating people, or I got to talk somebody into something. Really what selling is consulting. It's, you're really coaching somebody. If you really you're kind of describing it, most people don't know what they need, what they want. And you're the expert, and it's your ability to kind of help them understand, like, here's what you really need and want, and here's why, and making it simple so that it's not complicated. So there's a communication aspect to it, but I think there's a confidence aspect to it too, because they pick up on your uncertainty. And I think for a lot of people who struggle, MSPs specifically, not just MSPs, I mean, it's every industry, because people like to say, well, I'm an engineer, I can't sell. Well, there's insurance guys that can't sell. There's architectural firms that can't sell. There's pool guys that can sell. There's landscapers for sure that can't sell. I can tell you from first time experience. So, there's a whole bunch of people that can't sell. Right. And, I think it's because they're not really thinking about communication, but I think a lot of it is lack of confidence. They're afraid to ask for what they should, like they're afraid to kind of say, no, this is what you need.
And then they give in on some inferior thing, and then the customer doesn't like it, and they kick them the curb.
Yeah. I think we got like tens of fans right now. Mike's just saying.
Yeah, we've got questions. Like they're pouring in.
You want to take questions, Steve?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so we got Paul. His is kind of a comment, but I think you can speak to it, Steve. It says, the math on managed hardware scares the crap out of me for some reason. Like, what would you say to that?
So the math on it scares it, like calculating it, like figuring out what the payment is.
We can't have, unless they.
So here's what I'm going to say. Like, it's all integrated in our system. So we use QuoteWorks. Like, it talks to Great America. So we put together the regular hardware and services mix, and it goes out to Great America and like puts a number on it, and like it just calculates it. Like, I don't.
Steve, I'll tell you what, would you come into one of my events and show, like, would you be willing to like really not hold back and show the numbers and how you calculate those prices? Or
absolutely.
Okay, maybe we should do that. That would be interesting, just to,
I love to
show the math and how you're calculating the price, and then what's included and all the rest of it. I'll have to get you drunk so you really share the real numbers and stuff.
Like we'll share it. It's simple. Like, it's not, I don't know why that math would be complicated, because Great America does the leasing factors and all this. And we don't talk to customers about leasing factors and interest rates. No, it's like, here's a number and it's all included.
And then Great America basically handles the finance, right? Because they have to, if they want to find, right. Okay.
Yeah, you're getting a little in the weeds, so I don't totally understand how all this works, but like, we put a customer in, it goes out and credit checks them with Great America and pre-qualifies them. They put the hardware configuration from Disty. The SEs put all the labor in there, and then it goes out and grabs a number from Great America. They put it on the quote, and out the door it goes. Like, we're not My salespeople can't do math. I can't do math, for God's sake.
I got something to sell you then if you can't do math.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
get
I
them
think,
done
well,
first.
look, I think when he says like it scares, like I understand it because here's what I found. And I've discovered this a lot when you're like, I get vendors who come to me and they want me to help sell their product. And one of the big problems that a lot of MSPs have, or a lot of vendors have when they go to the MSP, they're like, well, just sell my stuff. It's easy. Just, you just sell it. But like nobody wants to sell something that they can't understand or get their head around. So I completely understand this. Like I'm dealing with this right now. Compliance manager has engaged me like Citricom did before, Microsoft did before, to kind of put together a package for selling their software. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And the reality is what I'm finding out actually about compliance as a service is actually everybody on this call. I'm like friggin' super excited because it's so good for the customer, so good for the MSP. Everybody wins. Like it's really, really, really good. But most MSPs are like, what the hell is it that I'm selling? Like I really got to understand specifically what are the deliverables, what has to be done, who has to be responsible for what. And then once they have that, then they feel comfortable moving ahead. So for this person who asked this question, I completely understand that is, you hear about things like technology as a service or even managed services. Look, Steve, you even take managed services. What the hell is that? You ask 100 MSPs, you get 100 different answers, right? So I think.
Well, we have it all documented, right? Like, I mean, there is a document. When we say patch management, what the hell does that mean? We have a document that says what we're patching and how often and when. When you ask about firmware updates, how often and when you talk about like firewalls, what reports are you getting when, like I can show you every bit of that. Most customers don't care, but what they'll do is they'll say, hey, what's that? How do you do patch management? Like, you want to see our process here? And they're like, holy crap, they got their stuff buttoned up.
Right, okay. But I think even more than the customer, I think it's for like an honest business owner, like like the person who's asking this question, or even me. Like you kind of want to make sure you have it really clear in your head so that you're not surprised by, holy shit, there's all these things I have to do, and I didn't calculate that into the cost. Or there's, hey, the customer they don't just need A, they need B, C, and D. You know what I mean? So I think it's a legit question. I think that's one of the toughest things that MSPs have is that there is no one, here's how you do this, managed services, technology as a service, MSSP, like it's fuzzy, and it's situational, right?
But I would be glad to share. I mean, we have our SEs use like for every PC we have a labor amount per month that we calculate and an install charge. And like I'd be glad to share all that. Like it's not rocket science. I mean,
we're getting Steve to open the kimono. Look out, everybody. He's like, what?
We have detailed what that is because you need to be able to deliver it. And let's face it, all of your users aren't in my territory because,
well, here's the thing, Steve, it doesn't matter. Like, even if they were, that, like you started saying it, like the reality is, and I don't wish this upon anybody, but the reality is the blueprints for success are as obvious as like you can't hide it, right? You could like my competition can see my marketing plan all day. Can they execute on it? No, they won't. It's not can't. They could. They won't.
So here's the way I explain that, and I apologize for bringing the Big Mac up, but did you know there's a video produced by McDonald's on how to make a Big Mac at home?
He really likes Big Macs, Mike.
Right,
Mike, did you look? Yeah. By the way, did you look up the toy in the box thing? I wanted to.
Yeah. They still have Happy Meals. The last thing I saw was they took it off the value menu, though. So
yeah, but did they do the toy in the box? Are they allowed to put that like kitty bait to get kids to buy it? Just
all I saw was they moved away from plastic and it's like corn based stuff now. So like, yeah, I'll have the full report on Monday, Robin.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
No, but I was just like, so here's totally like I'm drinking, so forgive me. But I was like, so we were down at the beach house and it was St. Patrick's Day. And my 8-year-old is like, you know what? She's got this thing with leprechauns, like, and so we did it last year and we've done it in years before. So we're down the beach for St. Patrick's Day because it was spring break and she's wearing us out every day. She's saying, Mom, I want to build a leprechaun trap. So I got to go to Walmart. I got to go to Walmart and get material to get this. She's like, I'm not going to Walmart, honey. I'm like, I'm pretty sure down the beach, there's no leprechauns because there's sand and they don't like sand. And she's like, literally going, no, there's trees. I saw tree. And there's some like trees. She's like, there's trees. And and she's like, you're just saying that because you just don't want me. I know there's leprechauns. She's doing this whole thing. Right. And I'm like, honey, there's no leprechauns down the beach. Right. So I get up, I always get up early, way before everybody else. So it's like 6 a.m. in the morning and I get up and I let the dog out and in the foyer is like this leprechaun trap that's set up. She had a glass with money in it and it was like little Post-it notes that said free money, look here. You know what I mean? She's like trying to, so I was like, oh shit. I can't.
Background.
What's that?
That's a marketing background.
Totally. Right. Free money. Right. So I'm like, shit, now I can't like not do something like, so she came up with her own like little leprechaun. So I like rush I went up on my computer. I made this little note from a leprechaun. I took the money, I'm not above it. I took her money. And then I like put the note in there and I went to the store and I was like, shit, it's like 6 o'clock, 6:15 in the morning. I'm in like Publix, like, what am I going to do? I'm like looking for gold coins. I'm looking for like, what I'm like, oh, I'll buy her a box of Lucky Charms, right? The cereal. And I'm looking and, the thing I noticed, like none of the cereals anymore have the toy in the box. That was like a thing when you were a kid, man, you would you would like reach your hand in the box and like, you know what I mean? Like get the
they all have their iPad out watching it while they're eating cereal.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they're like, it's illegal now or something.
So our producer Will just chatted in that his kids ask him to get the Happy Meal all the time for the latest toy that's in there. So
all right. Well, okay.
Apparently
Thank
they
God,
got it.
America still exists a little bit. Holy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've got to have your non-plastic, non-GMO, non-binary, whatever toy. You know what I mean? Like you can't like what is going on here? All right.
So we just before we digress anymore, which is any second now. So Bob Michi asked, is the hardware included in all the agreements in the $200 to $300 price, or is that a separate lease with Great American Finance?
No, it's included. It can, like it depends on what's included, but yeah, it's all in. Because let's face it, you take a $1,000 laptop or $1,500 laptop and divide it by 36, 48 months, like it's nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And so you layer the services on top of it. And so no, we're included. It's all included there. And again, we're using the, I kind of gave you the formula how we're calculating that monthly fee is depends on what's in it. But yeah.
Yeah, we totally got to have you come in and talk because like I'd be curious to see that. I think it's like one of those things that I think you're saying that this is all you did. And now you recently just kind of went to more traditional because you can't get the damn hardware anymore. Right. But
we have an expectation that as soon as it comes available, like they're moving. Right.
Okay.
Like we're forklifting this old crap and getting our stuff in when we can.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right. Mike, what other questions? Because we're like digressing.
Those are the two big ones that came in there. We
got tens of listeners who are
100% of our fans ask questions, both of them.
Because here's the reality, Steve. It was either you or I could interview David Hasselhoff. I've been trying to get the Hoff on like this podcast. Like I want to interview David Hasselhoff. Do you remember David Hasselhoff, Knight Rider?
Well, yeah. I mean, do I remember? Like, yes. Are you kidding me? Like, I have an Apple Watch because he had the kit watch thing. Like, you get hard. What do you mean? Like, do I remember like the kit car?
Talk about down the beach. Last time we were down there, like, cause like I'm a little more relaxed down there. So my husband and I, the kids were downstairs watching whatever bullshit they watch. And we were like, I had Netflix and Knight Rider comes up and I'm like, I want to watch the first session of Knight Rider. And we're like, yeah, we're like watching this. It actually wasn't as bad as we thought.
It's pretty bad.
It was actually not terrible. I mean, there are moments and you're just like, wow. Okay. But
the one that was worse. Like I grew up on Dukes of Hazzard. It is so bad.
No, I remember. Oh no, I like Dukes of Hazzard.
Go watch it. Go watch. It's offensive. It's so bad. Like I loved it when I was a kid. Like I couldn't wait for it to come out.
I gotta watch
everything that is considered socially wrong now is in the first episode. Like, you know, I mean,
yeah.
right? Like they got the flag on top. They got like Daisy Duke, and you know, like totally objectifying her. You know,
Wait. You mean they got like hot women and fast cars and that, yeah, that's
Yeah, I was
all
gonna
like you
say,
can't
yeah.
have that anymore. That's totally
yeah,
against.
like it's a thing, right? Like, but anyways, yeah. No, like I'm stuck. Like my car, you know, like my dream car that's in the garage is an '84 Corvette, right? Like it looks like geekified junk in, you know, like that's what I have. Like, so yeah, you're speaking my words here, right?
That's what you get in Hayes, Kansas. That's what you get, you know.
No,
You have like a Mercedes. What is in Hayes? What do you do in Hayes, Kansas for fun? Like,
I have a
it's like,
pool.
what's that?
I have a pool.
No, I mean, like, where do you go? Is there like any nightclubs?
Well, he's got like a McDonald's like 3 blocks away. So
Hey, we have two
got a
McDonald's.
playland.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
we have two.
That's
No,
the
like
hot
in
date.
college, so you go like to the basketball games and the, you know, whatever, and we have a place that has like hacks throwing and, you know, all that stuff. Like we're just big, right? Like we have a Walmart, all right.
Okay. You ever
Like,
go in
you
it?
No, but
Okay.
but we
I need to go. You know, Bruce McCulley, I'm giving the second shout out. That bastard better like, you know, call me back because he's been texting me. So Bruce McCulley of Galactic Advisors. So Bruce he's a client forever. He was my IT company. He sold it. Now he's got Galactic Advisors. He's a sponsor. He's a good friend. And he goes to Walmart and buys Wagyu steak on the weekends. I'm like, what? WTF? Like, I don't even know what he's doing in Walmart. He'll text me pictures of Wagyu steak being sold in Walmart. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not Wagyu. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, if so, they don't have that in Hayes America. All right, like
Yeah.
here's what we do. Like, so I had one of the guys. We do an annual event. We had one of the guys from Europe come over because the accent sells, and he's a great guy. But how I paid him was what I called the All-American Day, right? Like we took out the AKs, we took out the shotguns, we took out the handguns, like we blew a lot of shit up, right? So that's what we do. Like we go out, got ATVs, you know, like, that's what we do.
You could blow up. Maybe you could do like, what was that movie? It was like, what was it? The Office? What was it where like the guy beats up the printer in the cornfield or whatever? Is it
not
Office Space?
Office Space. That's it. Like maybe you could like allow your customers to blow up their old equipment. Like that would be fun. That's part of your service contract. Like in addition, like that printer that you hate, the laptop that's been constantly like, why don't you let them go out and just like blow that shit up? And that would be part of the deal. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, we'd be willing to do that all day. Like, yeah, no question.
Totally do that. But add that in your contract. It's kind of like, you know, it made me think just for a minute, like Rob Ray Datto, you know, he was over in Australia. And one of the things he used to do, I don't think he does anymore. Well, I mean, COVID. No, he was in Australia, and to demonstrate the backup that they have, they took a server and they lit it on fire in a conference, like in a hotel, and they had to evacuate the whole hotel because the smoke detector went off and the fire department showed up, and because he was trying to demonstrate how you can recover from a backup. So, you know, that might be fun. You could try that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Rob's been to Hayes America, first of all. So he's been literally from Australia to Hayes America. All right.
God bless.
But remember Austin McCord when he owned Datto, right? Like he keynoted that thing one day for us out here. So Austin McCord's been in Hayes America, you know, before he had private island kind of money.
What's it hasn't, you know, you're not on the map until I've actually been there, because I've been a lot of places, but not Hayes. So
all right, challenge accepted. Fair enough.
Or maybe we could just meet up in Destin. I'd rather do that. You know, we could be at the beach. Let's have a bonfire at the beach, and we can, you know, when next time you're down in Destin, I'm serious. Like next time you're down in Destin, let me know, because you got to do a bonfire on the beach. It's so cool.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love Destin. I love Seaside. You know, like some of my favorite places down there. I gotta go to the ice cream place. I can't remember what it's called in Seaside. What's the ice cream place called?
Heavenly.
Yeah. I'm totally.
Well, there's a couple, but that's probably the one you're talking about.
I think so.
It's like the one with the big plastic ice cream cone out in front.
Yeah, that's the one. And then I'm gonna have like a lunch at that like abandoned RV out front on the road there.
They're not. Hey, let me tell you something.
I still live there, Steve. It's not abandoned. Yeah.
No, those RVs, like I'm not kidding you. I like it's not cheap. So there's one that like my one of my kids loves to have there's a crepe one. There's one that does crepes, and they have a pepperoni pizza crepe, and she is obsessed. Like, so every day she wants to go down to the food truck and get the pepperoni. It's like 15, $20 for a crepe. I'm like I gave her $20 and said, go get a crepe. And because she wanted a frozen lemonade, like she didn't have enough money. This shit's expensive.
Oh yeah, no, it's real deal money. But actually, McDonald's is now $20. Probably a Happy Meal $20 now. So.
Brings it back to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Well
Two
played,
all beef
Steve.
patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. I got it. It's in there.
That's how you make IT successful.
There you go. All right.
Okay,
Do we have any other questions, Mike?
So we do have a question. We also have a comment from our very own Debbie Bush. She said, I visited Stephen Hayes years ago. So I don't know what that's all about. We don't want to start any
like
rumors
Debbie,
here.
stop.
Yeah.
All right. We don't this is not appropriate. Don't rat him out.
Oh, we've had lots of visitors out here to Hayes America because they want to see what's happening. How does Next Tech make a thing out here in this middle of nowhere? Plus, if you're traveling from East Coast to West Coast, we're like the only supercharger around. So
there you go. There's your claim to fame.
Well, they were traveling from Denver to KC, and Hayes is on the way.
Yep,
so
halfway in the middle.
Okay, well, there you go. But we do have a real question from Brent. He says, is the lease in the customer's name or theirs?
Lease is in the customer's name. It is in, but I would have to get into the exact, if I had my Great American people that help me through this, but at the end of the agreement, the equipment is mine, not the customer's. And so they cannot take ownership of it. And the agreement's written specifically that way. How many
customers do you have on this kind of deal?
Lots, millions of dollars worth.
Yeah, but I mean, 100, 200. Oh,
no,
over.
Hundreds. Okay. Yeah, hundreds. Yeah.
I just, it's just amazing because it really, it really just shows you can, and I'm not saying it's a bad deal, but it just, it just demonstrates that if you believe in what you sell and you have you're good at selling. I mean, you take care of the customer, you build testimonials, you build a good reputation, it really, all this thing about, I can't sell, we have people call us and say, I can't get anyone to buy my all-in managed services contract for $25 a seat. No, I know, Steve, I'm telling you, it's terrible.
Well, it's because somebody's going, yeah, something's broken, right?
I don't.
But look, think about it from a mechanic, right? My techs know everything they want. We're so efficient that imagine taking over a customer's network that's full of a disaster, right? Like they all are, versus you coming in and forklifting it and knowing exactly what they have on your equipment. How much better of experience that can be for the customer, and how much easier for you to support. It's so simple. I feel like this is the unwritten thing in managed service. We keep trying to take on people's crap and trying to make it work beautifully, and we can't figure out why. Really, we know better than this, people. We have standards. Your own network runs really well, right? Of course it does, right. Because it's your network. You have it implemented the same way and the same, So if you had the same standards set up, wouldn't it be easy to support your customer and having a wonderful customer experience and make more money? Of course you could. Mm-hmm. But so, to your point, how do you sell it all in? You have to believe it, first of all. Secondly, it is an amazing customer experience. It's the Apple experience. When you get an iPhone, it works, right? It's amazing, and you never think about anything else. I hope you're not an Android person. I don't see that, but right?
I'm totally Android.
Yeah, I was gonna say me too.
I'm 100% Android.
Apple Tech does not work for me. I don't think it doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. I can't get it to work.
There's some users that just don't get it.
I'm one of them. I admitted I can't get that shit to work. I'm a good customer.
If I hand you an iPhone and say make a call, you're like, I don't know, where's that button at, right? That's the exact point, right? You get into one and just don't work. So I think the key is you have to get it so simple that you can use lower level techs to do all the diagnostics. They know exactly how to do it. You have less higher end, high expensive techs to do the work because they're hired out. They're impossible to hire anyway. This just it's just a no-brainer. I hate to say it, and we do this all the time in different markets, right?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. You wouldn't do this anything else. So I just think that this might be one of those biggest no-brainers ever if you started actually investing full in. But to your point, you have to have it standardized. You have to have a sales team that understands. You have to have text, deliver amazing. Like, it's not just one of those little pieces, but I do think it can be that easy. I mean, I can tell you, I'll bring customers on the air to tell you how great they love it, right? Because think about it, like most of our customers are seeing private equity, just like we are in this industry. So they're acquiring branches. They know how much the cost is to acquire this new bank for IT, don't they? Because it's X amount of users. They call up, go, hey, we need to forklift them. They'll be standardized on Monday. No problem. Thanks. Versus bringing in their old tech,
Yeah, it's a big mess. Yeah, no, I hear you. Hey, I'm not arguing. I just think it's great. I think we need to bring Steve in. Let's get him in. We got to get you at a producers club meeting, dude. And the next one's probably it's in July. Maybe we can bring you in July. Can you get to Nashville in July?
Yeah, it's kind of hot in July though, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe we could the thing is though, our next one is in October and we're doing that at High Point University. Do you know Nita Cobain?
No, I do not.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. I'm gonna do you a solid and invite you to that just to hang out because it is. Right. I'm not joking. Like this is like phenomenal, right? Maybe we'll have to speak at that. But
that would be fantastic because Spiro's been harassing me to come see him now that he's down there. And the last time I went saw him in LA, he stood me up. So I have to say that publicly, just humiliating further.
Oh, he's an asshole. Just forget him.
All right.
His wife is brilliant. She's amazing, right? Scott's an asshole. I just tolerate him so I could be, friends with her. So,
but seriously, how great of a salesperson must he be?
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, I love Scott. I give him shit all the time because he loves it. But no, we'll get you down to Nashville. That'll be cool. That'll be good. And then you know what we should do? We should do one of the pedal taverns, like where you pedal and you drink and stuff like that. We'll do that. And I'll sell seats and you can talk about your contracts and stuff. And it'll be fun. It'll be good. I tried to get Kevin O'Leary. I want to do one where I have Kevin O'Leary, Barbara Corcoran, all the Robert, like all the sharks from Shark Tank. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you think I could sell a seat for in that?
Like how many seats are there? Like,
I don't know what, Mike, you know this better than me.
There's like 10 or 12, like max on those.
So, a third of them would be tied up with like actual people. So like, I think 50 grand's the number, maybe 100.
I think it'd be worth it. I think they would do that because it's like 4 sharks plus me. If there's 10, there's 5 seats at 50 grand. That doesn't even cover their costs because these sharks are like they're expensive. They're
I know so maybe it's like 100 grand. You get the whole tour, but if you only pay 50, you get like a block.
Yeah, you got to get off. Maybe that's it. We have like 5 minutes. Stop at blocks and you get on and get off, and that way you can make more money. That's a good idea. See, look at you coming up with that. I'm gonna buy you a Big Mac when you come to Nashville, just for that. Wow. There's like 1,000 million calories in it or whatever. But
I know they're like ridiculous. Yeah, I'd have to ride that bike. I think that bike thing, like the calories I ingest on the alcohol would just be like a mute calorie count.
Totally. No, you're totally drinking more than you're barely pedaling. I think that it's
right. No, they have an engine. Like it's all for show. Like literally. But
now you have totally taken the like wizard out from behind the like.
Yeah. I know. You thought you were burning a gajillion calories, and yeah.
No, you're not. Yeah, it's not how it happens. But all right, cool. We will do that. All right. My friend Steve, thank you very much. This has been great. I appreciate you being on. It's good to reconnect. Seriously, we got to get you down to Nashville.
Yep. You give me some dates. We'll make, as long as they're early enough, we'll get them on the calendar. No problem.
It sounds like a plan. All right, Mike, thank you so much. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Cheers. Cheers, everybody.
I'm empty.
All right.
All right.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.